Hello all, thanks for joining this meeting and let's start this meeting. So myself, Hitesh Busetti, I'm the founder of Mr. Curves Design Studio and I'm an architect and computational designer. So this course will be taken by Maya Pundali and she's a creative head of Bluestone Tech Labs and she's also a computational designer. And I'll be giving the control to Maya Pundali now.
Hi everybody, I'm Maya and welcome to Bluestone. Welcome to our webinar. We are in association with Hitesh and we are going to be presenting what is 3D printing today, a small precursor to our big course. So today I'll just tell a short about who Bluestone Tech Labs is. We are authorized resellers in most of the software that you can see. I'm also the authorized trainer for Rhino. And we have been doing this for the past, I think you can say since 2003. The founder of this company is Dr. Shailendra Pundle. He is the one who was instrumental in actually introducing the CAD and CAM in the jewelry industry in way back in 1998, if I'm not wrong. This was in SEEPS in Mumbai. So let's get on. Next slide, please. So today what we are going to be doing is, we'll first talk about what 3D printing is as a process, just a little bit brief introduction to it. And after that, we will look at what we are going to be doing before we do 3D printing. Like when we model, what are the parameters that we need to work on? How do we scale it down? Just scaling doesn't make the work. You know, we cannot really produce it exactly as we have created for meters into millimeters. So there are certain parameters that we need to remember. We will actually go through the process of putting it in the pre-processing software for before we give it to the machine. We will see how the machine works, and we'll also see what we are supposed to do once the machine is done with. So how do we remove supports? How do we make it final for like the final output? So we are going to go through all these processes. We'll be using a number of software in between. Let's go on to the next slide. And let's start with 3D printing per se. Yeah, yeah. So to begin with, I'm talking about what is 3D printing. Now, when we are talking about 3D printing, essentially, it is something called as additive manufacturing. What do you mean by additive manufacturing? I'm sure many of you must have heard about CNC. CNC is negative manufacturing, wherein you take a piece, a block, and you cut out what you don't need. In case of additive manufacturing, which is 3D printing, what we'll be doing is we start with nothing. It's absolutely, there is nothing on the bed, but layer by layer, you're going to be building up and creating the object that you want. Now, which are the industries which use 3D printing? Believe it or not, almost all industries. That includes aeronautics, defense, jewelry, architecture, product design for concept modeling. It could be final output for many of the manufacturing industries. It is food technology. Then you have medical technologies that use it where you're creating outputs. Like the funniest thing that you may have seen is probably the James Bond movie in which I think it is Ghost Protocol, wherein they have recreated the face masks of the villains and all that. So although it sounds very exciting, it is definitely not that fast. But however, that is the nearest that you can think of. What are the kind of 3D printers available? There is, what we are going to be talking about today is only FDM technology, which is fusion deposition method technology. But there is SLS, SLA, DLP, there's metal sintering, wherein you can create an object directly out of metal. If latest in the news was Elon Musk, he had created a part for the space directly in the EOS machines. So here you create it in CAD and you print it out directly. Now this helps a lot in case where, you have, let's say the technology has been created in X part of the country, and you have the entire output required in the Y part of the country. The physical travel of big machines becomes a problem. So these can be eliminated. Now, why only country? It could be the entire world for that matter. When we are talking about, let's say, metal sintering, we are talking about metal powders. But today we are going to be talking about FDM technology only. In FDM technology, we are talking about materials like ABS, which is nothing but, in layman terms, the bumpers of cars that you see are nothing but ABS. That is a layman language. But other than that, you can use PLA. PLA is supposed to be based on biodegradable material. Frankly, I haven't seen it biodegrade even in 6 months. But anyway, that is supposed to be the biodegradable material. You can also use nylon. You can use carbon fiber. Basically, what it does is, the base material, you can have metal, actually metal powder inside the extrusion. This helps in creating very strong materials or products also. So this is a base of 3D printing that we have been talking about so far. Let's now come up to actual doing one object for the day. So what I've done is, since I'm working more on Rhino, let me share my screen and start with Rhino. This is the actual part of Rhino. This was supposed to be a tower. It is, you can see it is 145 145 meters in size. Let me just make it rendered so that you can have a better look. I think shaded will be a better look. Now this tower, although it is 145 meters, when I convert it to millimeters to be printed, you will see the difference. Let me show you a sub-screen. See the thickness of the objects or the legs over here, and see the thickness of the leg over here. We have made it much thicker because we want to 3D print it. So remember, what you can see in real life, you cannot really 3D print it as is. The simple reason being, a 3D printer, like when we are talking about FDM technology, we are talking about accuracies up to 0.5 mm, 5 or 50 microns, you can call it. So, sorry, 150 microns. So we cannot be having very thin materials, because something like this can easily break after we print it. So the main thing over here is to create the same object. You may scale it down, like if you see it right now. This is around 62 millimeters. So if it is 62 millimeters, my thickness is, look at this thickness, has to be at least 2. Right now I've kept it at 2 because I wanted it thick enough. But it should never be less than 1.5. So whatever we make, it doesn't matter which software you use. Right now I have shown you using Rhino, but it could be any other software. It could be SolidWorks, it could be Revit, it could be any other software. For example, I'll show you one that we have created in Blender. So this is an output created out of Blender. It could be ZBrush. So there are different software that you can use. The bottom line is, you should be able to create an STL output out of your CAD software. And STL output stands for stereolithography, which is used in most of the 3D printing machines. Now, there are different software that can be used to check if your file is good or bad, even before you go to the printer software. In Rhino itself, if I just make a mesh out of this, what is STL output? It's nothing but a mesh output. A mesh is created out of triangles. So I'll just bring this over here. And you'll see that this same has been created into triangular output made out of meshes. Now each one of this mesh is a separate object. When we send this to the printer, and if each one is a separate object, the printer will sense it differently. And that's why you can get a wrong output. It is always advisable to have a Boolean union of your objects before you send it. So at the end of it, it should be theoretically one object. You can do it in your CAD software, or you can use any other software like I can use Netfab, or we can use it in Rhino itself where we join them all. Let's go to Netfab and I'll show it to you. Export selected. I'm going and saying make it an STL, stereolithography. Let's call it Tower 1. Okay. It'll ask me, do I want to export? I'm saying yes. And now let's import it or open it up in Netfab. You'll see that it is saying there is an issue out here. So there are different ways of repairing a part and making it together. What are the issues? If I just happen to say repair part, it will tell me the mesh is not closed. There are some small things. You will say, obviously, I closed everything in Rhino. Yes, you may have closed everything in your CAD software, but it is possible that there are minute areas where it may not have been closed the way it should be. So to do that, you can use the standard scripts which are available. What these standard scripts do is that they close trivial holes, they'll close all major holes, they'll union all the objects, they will also they will also ensure that all the parts are correctly aligned. See this? Stitch triangles, close holes, remove doubles, you have removed degenerated faces or tiny shells. Once you're done, I'm going to say apply, and you'll see that there is no more warning out here. The file is clean, and I can now use it for the machine. So if I say export to STL, I'm going to rename it. So let me call it STower2, which is nothing but my clean file. I can overwrite it obviously, but for now I'm going to just give it a new name. Now with this, we are ready to go into the machine software. Now there are different machine softwares. There is something called as CreateWare for a CreateBot machine, or there are different softwares basically. So they are open source also as well as paid versions. Now the one I'm using is a paid version of Simplify 3D. Here I'm supposed to choose which is the machine that I want to use. So here, let me use this one. Basically, what this machine tells is that what is the size of your machine. So I have specified what is the size of my machine. As you can see, there are two main types of FDM technologies. One is a Cartesian and the second one is a delta. And as you can read, Cartesian means rectangular. So generally in this kind of machines, you have the X and Y standard on the build plate. You have the extruder moving in the X and Y axis, and the build plate physically moves up and down in the Z axis. In case of Delta, the extruder is created out of three handles, and they together move it in, and the build plate is circular in nature, cylindrical in nature. So what happens is, let's say I'm talking about 6 inches and 1.5 inches. So for this particular size of bed, I'm going to be importing that tower 2 that we just created. I have the option of playing with the position, like I may have more than one objects. So if I just, let's say I duplicate this, maybe 3 objects, and I say center and align. So it can be aligned. Now I don't want this one behind. So I can click and drag or move it aside and so on. So these software allow you to play with a lot of things in terms of positioning, sizing, scaling. More importantly, once you are set with all these things, you come to the main part. Now, this differs from printer to printer, one, but more importantly, it differs from object to object also. Today, I'm just going with the basics, but later on, we'll also be looking at detailed understanding of each one of these options. I'll just go through the basics right now. You'll see that I'm using a primary height of 2.2 mm. That is 200 microns. Additionally, I have chosen to opt for a raft and also generate supports. Infill is the percentage that I will be talking about. See, what happens is, if you look at this particular tower right now, if I happen to build it completely, I'm going to be using a lot of material. But if this is meant only for a concept, then I do not need the entire inside also to be completely filled. So instead, what we can do is, we can have an infill percentage. You can choose the patterns and you can choose the percentage. I'll just show it to you when I print. I'll show you the print preview and you'll be able to understand this better. Also, I'm opting for supports. What size of support pillar do I want? What is the maximum overhang angle that I want? I'll explain this in detail. The rest are more or less associated with my specific printer. The default printing speed is also very, very important. If you try to make it very fast, you end up with not a very good fine model. You try to keep the default printing speed very slow, it is not optimal. You're unnecessarily wasting electricity. So coming to the right optimal speed limits is something that you will learn over time. Right now, I have not changed any of my parameters. All I'm going to do is say print to prepare to print. This is where you will be able to understand what I was talking in terms of the raft or supports and so on. Let me just go layer by layer. What you can see down here is known as a skirt or a brim. It means it is the outer boundary that I had chosen for. This is a raft. Why will I need a raft? It becomes easier to remove the object from the build or the machine bed. And that's why building a raft is a good thing. There will be times where I may not want a raft. It is up to me. Right now, I have kept the raft. And depending on how many layers of raft I must have asked for, you will see that my second layer is also a raft. My third layer is where my actual printing begins. As you go up, the orange color is the infill. Now this infill, let me just explain a little more on this particular area. The blue, light blue, and the cyan and the dark blue, these are known as your perimeters. Now, if I'm going to be creating a functional part using this technology, then I better have more than 2 perimeters. Like I want to apply a screw, I want a hole, and the hole is going to have threads, and I'm going to be pushing a screw under inside it. So in that case, I better have more than 2 perimeters because I need a good thickness. The orange part is the infill that I had spoken of. If I don't have any infill, it is possible that the 2 perimeters can be easily squeezed. So this gives the object a strength. I may choose to have only 5% infill, 50% infill in case it is functional. So it depends on object to object, as I mentioned earlier. Then I had spoken of overhangs. What you can see in gray over here is a support. The supports are generated because, have a look at this point. When I come up here, this was the area which needed a support, without which it may not have come properly. Like, it's like saying that I want to build a bridge without columns. It's very similar to that. Now, the percentage of supports, its density, etc., are again controllable. But this is what I have opted for. Once I'm satisfied with this, I can also check the build timing and how much is the filament that is going to be used. What is the weight of the filament? In this case, I'm going to be using ABS, and this tells me that the ABS is going to be 6.51 grams that is going to be used. What we'll do is, let's go over to my printer, have a look at how I transfer this data to the printer. We can stop sharing the screen. I'll just stop. Once.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Yeah. So here, I'm going into my printer room. And this is the printer that we are going to be using today. This is a FlashForce. And I'm going to be turning on the main switch, the switch behind it. And you can see that my printer has started off. I have an SD card in this particular case. In the newer printers, you can also have Wi-Fi connection. So it depends. It depends on which printer you are using. This one has a simple SD card associated with it. So I'm now going to be putting this SD card back in our machine, in our computer. And here I have the option of saying save the toolpath to disk. When I click on this, it converts the object into an X3G file. It gives an X3G file because this particular printer requires an X3G file. Now these files are something that you and I cannot read. Let me be clear about it. If I say edit it with a notepad, you'll probably not understand half the things written out here. But that's meant for the machine. If you look at the same G code, it's much more easier to read. Basically, what this information does is it tells the machine how to take which extruder and send it in which area on the bed. So if you can see here, it's telling the machine that set the fan speed at so much, heat the bed build plate 210, increase the right temperature to 230, stabilize it, and then once it's ready, go to this particular Z, lift it, and so on. So this is the information that actually goes to the machine. It also plays a song if you want. So right now I'm going to just eject this particular SD card from the machine, and let's go on to the machine itself. Now once I'm back to the machine, the first step we are going to do out here is to heat the build plate. That is always considered the first part. Why do we need to heat the build plate? I'm going to be using ABS. Let me just show you. I've just fit it back in. You can see that this is the extruder. I have a dual extrusion, but I'm going to be using only the right extruder. Why do I need dual? When can you use dual? Let me just bring it near. See. When can we use dual? When I want to print multicolor. Right now I have no such objective in mind. Before I even heat the build plate, I have to ensure that my build plate is in level. It cannot be at an angle. It has to be leveled. Most of the machines have inbuilt programs. Even this one, if you can read it, has a plate leveling option. So I'm just going to go accordingly, and you'll see sorry for that. There's something wrong with my Z. You can see I've used an abusive filter. So what it is doing is it is taking any 3 point, and not any, the top, like 1, 2, and 3 points, and then finally in the center to check if it is in level. How do we check if it is in level? Take a simple piece of paper, place it between it, and simply pull it. If you can have simple, less amount of friction between the two, you are good to go. So now it's going on the back side, and I'm pulling it. What if it isn't perfect? Then your printer may have 3 or 4 such screws. In my case, I have 3 of them. See this? I can simply move the knob slightly to ensure whether this goes up or down. So if it goes up, it's going to loosen it. If it goes down, it's going to tighten it. Now for the third part. Yeah, looks good. Okay. And we are good to go. So our step of plate leveling is now complete. The second thing is, if you can see, I have applied something called as a Kapton tape on this because I'm using ABS. A Kapton tape, you can get it like this. It's like a cellophane, but with a specific thickness. I think this one is, if I'm not wrong, will be 0.2 mm if I'm not wrong. And, sorry, not 0.2 mm. And it has it can retain heat. So what happens is this build plate gets heated and the ABS sticks onto it. Like for example, it gets stuck onto it. Otherwise, it is easy to be moved around. Now, when we are placing it, we have to ensure that there are no air bubbles. So what we can do is, what I typically do is, while placing it, I use something like this to clean up the air bubbles. I'm not going to spend time on it right now because we have time issues. But place it, use a Kapton tape. If you're using PLA, you can also opt to use something called as a blue tape, which is widely available using the 3M manufacturing company. The next step I'm going to do out here is to pour some acetone on the bed. Why acetone? Basically, with acetone, what you're doing is you're cleaning up any oil or any other dust particles that you had on the Kapton tape. Even when you place your hands on the Kapton tape, your hand oil, your skin oil can get stuck onto it, or dust can get stuck onto it. What is the result? The result is the ABS will not stick on the platform. Once all these things are ready, we can go on to our printer and give it the command to print the tower. The moment I do that, you will find that it will first place the platform in position. Each printer has something called as a home position. So it places itself at the home and then it starts building or heating up. Now in this case, it is going to first heat the platform and then it will heat the extruder as I had given it instructions. Now this can take quite some time. Till then, I'll just show you some small piece of print that I had already done earlier. So you can see that this is the completed output. I have another machine out here which is a much bigger one. It is 400 by 300 by 520 mm. What we'll do is let's leave this as is and go back to where we had our output. What I have over here is a ready printed object of that same. You can see that I have the supports also inbuilt. I'll show you how we can simply remove these supports. Before I do that, if you can see, let me just see if you can help. Let me see if I can focus it for you. I had printed it at 200 microns. So you can see layer by layer. I don't know if it is clear. Is it clear, Hitesh?
No, it's
Can
not.
you see layers?
No, we can't see layers. I think it's very thin.
Yeah, okay. So you can see that although I have done it at 200 microns, which in case of jewelry and all is considered too high, they look at something like 25 microns. Even then, even here you can see that it is pretty clean output. What I'll do is I'll just show you how we clean up the machine, product. And I have this to help me remove it from the printer bed. Observe, I haven't shown it out here, but yes, when your printer is heated, you have to be careful about the wearing gloves. Thicker gloves, the better they are. Now to remove this, hold on. If you can see, I'm basically going to be cutting. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it now?
Yeah, we can see that. We can see that.
Yeah. So basically these supports are very flimsy because we have given it a low density as compared to our actual product. Can you see?
Yes, we can.
So the moment I just remove these things, this is comparatively a very small percentage of the material that is wasted. So you don't have to worry about the costs here. and I'm taking off this top. That's it. So here we are ready with the output. There's also a raft at the bottom. I'll just remove that too. And my bottom is clean. The raft just peels off with some efforts. That's it. So using this, I'll just show you a few more designs that we have done. You can see a total pen stand here. All these have been created in different software like Blender or Rhino, depends. Now this particular object, although it looks very simple, it is very difficult when it comes to printing. I'll explain it later. Here we have an object which is interconnected. So it can be squeezed. Let me just place it and show it to you. Have a look. Basically, it is interconnected. So they are not interlinked. So this is actually a part of a bracelet design that was done. Got it? Is it clear?
Yeah.
Our printer may have still not started, but I think we can start taking up questions now. Hitesh, I think we can unmute also. Unmute everybody so that they have a question they can ask.
Okay. So is there any doubt about this course? So you can talk.
Everybody, all people can unmute themselves and you can talk. You can ask questions. Hi, Naveen. I can't hear you. Naveen, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes.
So what happens if we wanted to print something at larger scale?
It depends on what you mean by large scale. See, let's say we are talking about this typical printers, right? The one I showed you right now is 300 by 400 in bed size. But there are printers which can be as big as even a meter. Second option is when you say large, let's say you're talking about 1 meter, but you don't have the printer of 1 meter available for yourself. Then in that case, you can cut it and then join them together.
Okay. Yeah. And like coming to jewelry design and all, can they all be printed in real life?
Yes, they can be, but the technology used for jewelry is very different. They generally use SLS or DLP machines.
Okay.
So there it is more in terms of resin, which is cured by light. So if it is SLS, it is laser technology. If it is DLP, it is white light technology, which fuses a particular layer, just one layer at a time, and it fuses it. So a DLP is a much faster technology. Of course, the costs are high and the accuracy increases. Like what I have done right now is approximately, I can go up to 100 microns, whereas jewelry is always done at 0.25 or 0.50 microns.
Okay.
So the technology differs, but the concepts will remain the same. And you can also print technology using metal sintering. So directly and print output. That is also possible, but it is not very prevalent right now because of costs.
So like what is the printer would you like to suggest, like for students who are experimenting at this stage? Like what are the low cost printers?
Yeah. Any RepRap printers. There are
RepRap.
printers available for RepRap. What is RepRap? Basically, it is self reproduction. That is why that RepRap word came, and that is why it is so prevalent today. You have printers where you can self assemble it, or you have printers like what you just saw. If you're using PLA, you don't even need heated bed, then the price comes down further. So what happens is, it depends on what you want to do. You decide. If you are using PLA, you don't need heated bed. You can get printers up to even 10,000 to 20,000 or 30,000 approximately.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Anybody else?
So I just want to add one thing about the scale Naveen talked about. Scale is something like it depends on the company, and again, so some companies doesn't give in a large scale. Some people do that in a customizedly, like on site they do something like in whatever scale they want. So they do in a customizedly, like concrete printing and whatever printing what we need. And one more thing, if this course is something like it's not important to buy the printer for you. Okay, so it's important to know what all errors we need to clean through the software. And if we can also give the file, the output file, the cleaned output file to the person who actually prints to the company. So even
Yeah.
Maya ma'am has a company which is Bluestone Tech Labs, and you can also share to her, and you can connect with her. So if you have any product to print for your studies and or your firm, so she will be helping with that.
Cool.
So I'll just send you the website in the chat, so you can just connect with that, and that will be great.
Just to add to what Hitesh said, there is something called as concrete printing. What do I mean by concrete printing? Exactly like Delta technology or this technology, but the extruder is put up on cranes. So you can build a 2-story, 3-story building also. It is actually a very good thing if you have the finance for it, obviously, to create fast houses. Let's say you had the issue in Bengal right now because of the cyclone. So where you need housing at very fast stages, you can actually use 3D printing in India. It will be very beneficial.
Well, like, is there an example where they use 3D printing to build buildings? Like example of
China, Holland, many places.
okay.
Not in India much, not yet in India. But yes, it is available and it can be done.
Mostly it's in the research level, so we can't build simple concrete in a different
We
level.
can build simple.
Yeah, because
We can
when we
build
use
simple.
concrete, we need to use reinforcement also. So reinforcement is for the strong base for the building. So it's in the research level, so we can't actually go on more advanced through the concrete printing for now. So this live course is basically to make you understand about the main workshop, which is just show you, which is this design to 3D printing V 1.0. It's completely deep. We'll be explain. You'll be knowing completely. You'll be learning NetFab and again the software. The example, if you're using SketchUp for modeling, and again you want to print from that software, you can also do that. But we are taking Rhinoceros 3D just to take some parameters uh, to print 3D printing. So the topics are basic 3D printing and complex 3D printing. If you see, there is a Maya ma'am, can you show the Hyder Ali building as you what you printed?
Yes.
So the basic one is in the right side, if you see. So it's simple one, but it's look complex. But when we come to printing, we need to take some of the parameters of supports basically. So if you are getting more supports, we will be increasing the cost. So we will also see that how can we decrease the supports and how can we optimize the printing cost. And again, the left side one, which is Hyder Ali, and it's just a rough printing. It's not clean just properly, and it's a complex one. If you see, even for this surface, we need more supports, more and more supports, because the surface is more complicated. So we'll be dealing with that too, in which angle the surface, if it is something like, 45 degrees angle, how many supports it takes. In 60-degree angle, how many supports it takes. So we can make the surface curvature according to that, and that we do as an analysis too. And let me share the screen. So, and one is interconnected, which is this one. As you see here, the image, which is interconnected. It's like a facade, and it's done with Rhinoceros. You can have any software. That's no point. And what which is another one is interlocking, which is Maya ma'am showed the brace light, which is it's connected. It's linked each other, and it's actually printed directly. And again, it will be flexible after printing too. So that will be explaining in this workshop. And again, one which is assembly is, can ma'am, can you show the assembly one? I'll just show you.
Assembly, this one, no,
That
right
raw.
now it's raw. It's not available right
Do you have? Okay, I'll just do that. I have one. So can you see this? So this is a drop for a project, hanging project. So if you see, this is a cap, and this is a drop where the light will be inside of it. And again, this is a hole. This is a 7 mm hole, which the wire can pass through, and again it connects perfectly. How there is actually, the model is done according to the locking, something like this. So this is not printed perfectly, just a sample of it. So we'll be doing that to assembly. So that is a one exercise. And so we'll be dealing with 5 exercise completely, were basic and complex and interconnected, interlocking and assembly. It The workshop is will start at 15th, 16th, and 17th. Every day you'll be having 2 hours per day, like for the course. And again, this course will be also recorded, and you can also see whenever you want. And the price is 3,500, and also we have 40% off for every registration. If you have group registrations like above 5, so you'll get 50%. And you can register from the website. Mr. Curve's Studio. I'll just show that too. This is another this is a exercise which is interconnected. And this is either see, if you see the supports, it's many supports. So we can optimize the supports according to the parameters what we take with netfab, and also the simplify 3D, the printer software. And this is a basic one. If you see, this is a simple one. If you see, like, this is printed like this. If you print something like this, the supports will actually increase. So even that will be taking care of the software. We'll be optimizing that too. And let me show the website. So this is Bluestone Labs website. So if you go on through, and if you give the inquiry, so my ma'am will respond you. So this is Mr. Curve's Design Studio website. And if you come down, this is an upcoming webinar courses. So this is a free live course what we have. If you sent this mail, we actually sent you all, we replied for that, and for the and shared this meeting too. And again, if you click more, and again, if you come down, you'll be seeing the upcoming courses, where we'll be having VRA for Rhino, and digital design to fabrication, computational designing through Rhino and Grasshopper. And if you are interested, you can send us a mail, and we will send you the workshop details when it is online. And if you come to this know more details of the workshop, so these are the exercises you'll be learning, and this is an assembly what I'm talking about. This is a connected, it's a locking system, like a cap, like a bottle and cap. So we'll be also dealing with this, and if you see this gap, how much we need to maintain, what is the minimum gap should be there for this and all, we will be doing that too. So all the details are here. You need to just go through a pay now, and you can check all the details here. And if you go here payment, and again you need to fill all the details and you can pay here. So this is the workshop details, like the upcoming workshop details. If you are interested, you can apply for this, and that will be great.